Hello, everyone. I'm Lars Rapcha, former lifeguard of Paradise Cove of 6 years. Catherine wanted me to share a little bit about rip currents with you today. So I wanted to maybe start out with this statistic is that the United States Lifeguarding Association estimates there's approximately 100 deaths each year due to rip currents. So obviously they're very dangerous. And also as a lifeguard, about 80% of our rescues came from rip currents and rip tides. So one of the things I want to start off with is as a lifeguard, how do you identify a rip current? Well, where do they form, or when do they form? It's typically when you're going to see a rising tide or lowering tide. So when there's a shift in water, you're going to see a lot of water moving around, and it's got to go somewhere. And if there's high surf, obviously that's another factor too, with a lot of water moving around. So the more water moving, typically the faster the rip current or rip tide will move. And so where do they form? It's typically when there's a break in a sandbar, or a pier or a jetty. Whenever there's a spot for the water to exit, if you imagine water coming into the beach, it's got to go back out somewhere. So it's going to go underneath and find somewhere to come out. And there's going to be, if there's a break in the sandbar, like I mentioned, water will typically flow there. So how can you identify a rip current? Well, if you see a lot of water moving, if you see ripples, if you see the discoloration of the water, those are all factors. If you see, I guess, a line of foam, sometimes you can see a line of foam, and you'll see kind of, if you're standing up on the beach, you can see a big, what looks like a mushroom head going out towards the water. That will be a clear indication of what a rip current or rip tide will look like. Let's see, what were some of the other questions? So as a lifeguard, what do you tell swimmers to do if they get caught in a rip current? Well, if you get caught in a rip current, if you can't touch the bottom, just don't panic. That's the first thing. If you panic, you're going to lose oxygen, which you need to survive. So make sure that you're taking it easy, and just kind of go. Don't fight the rip current, because you're going to waste all your energy. Once you make it out past the break, make sure you swim parallel to the beach, so sideways, so that you're not fighting the current, and then that way, once you're out of the rip current, you can swim back to the beach. If you're having trouble swimming, make sure you're staying calm, but also notify a lifeguard by waving your hands in the air, mention that you need help. Lastly, have I ever saved anyone from rip current? So fortunately at Paradise Cove, we didn't really ever have too bad of rip currents. Occasionally we'd have to reach out and grab somebody, but as a surfer, I've rescued many people from rip currents, because they tend to be a little bit stronger in beaches that have bigger surf. So yep, I've saved many people from rip currents. So very dangerous, but also if you have the right knowledge to protect yourself, you can survive. So make sure that you're all safe out there, and thank you, Catherine, for asking me to do this.